Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of What Nintendo Power Said Then, and What I Say Now. I've got quite a few games to be talking about in this episode, so without further ado, let's begin with Fatal Fury for the Super Nintendo. Alrighty, let's take a look at Nintendo Power Volume 47. Of all the Street Fighter II lookalikes, this one is the closest to the original in look and feel. As one of 3 characters, you are trying to become the king of the fighters. Now let's look at the plus side and minus side. Good graphics, look a lot like Street Fighter II. Tough opponents. The music sounds like something for an 8-bit system. Whatever this game does, Street Fighter II does it better. What I say now about Fatal Fury is pretty much the same that Nintendo Power said then. Whatever that game does do, Street Fighter II does do it a lot better. I mean, Street Fighter is actually much better, in my opinion, than Fatal Fury. I mean, the game itself, the moves can be pretty tough to pull off, at least in my opinion. There are times when I try to pull off a special move, and it doesn't always work. But the 2-player mode is good, though. The game is always good for 2-player. Any fighting game that has 2-player mode is fun to play on 2-player mode, of course. But anyway, that's what I gotta say about Fatal Fury. Let's talk about another game. We're going to talk about Yoshi's Cookie for the NES. So back to volume 47. Let's see what they said about Yoshi's Cookie. Yoshi's latest puzzle involves organizing dissimilar cookies into rows so they can be packaged. The theme may be a bit half-baked, but the game is as well done as it can be. There are over 1,000 levels of challenge, and the 2-player version of the game is one of the best 2-player puzzles ever. Take a closer look in this month's review. And now for what they said on the plus side and minus side. Great challenge and involvement. Uninspired graphics. What I say now about Yoshi's Cookie is pretty much the same thing that Nintendo Power said then. Except that the graphics are not uninspired. I actually find the graphics to be pretty good. One thing that should have been said, though, on the minus side was the fact that there's no player versus computer option, which for me is a very serious flaw to the game, because, come on, when it comes to puzzle games, it's fun for players to play against computers. That's the fun thing about playing games like Yoshi's Cookie. Of course, the Super Nintendo version and Game Boy version have player versus computer options, but not the NES version. But anyway, that's what I gotta say about Yoshi's Cookie. So, now for the next game. Beethovens Second for the Super Nintendo. So here's volume 56 of Nintendo Power. And here's what Nintendo Power said about Beethovens Second. Beethoven is a dog and his 4 puppies are missing. Go fetch. In this canine adventure from high-tech, you'll bark and romp through 4 levels of side-scrolling action. If you've always wanted a video dog, here's your chance. And then what they said on the plus side and the minus side. Some of the digitized graphics look okay when they're not in motion. Very poor animation and play control, lack of depth, and low challenge. So here's what I say now about Beethovens Second. While the animation isn't really that poor, the play control is terrible. I wouldn't know about the challenge being low, though, because Due to the play control, the game can be pretty frustrating, so there's quite a challenge to the game after all. But anyway, that's pretty much all I gotta say about Beethovens Second. There's not much else to have to say. So, on to the next game. We're going to take a look at Battletoads Double Dragon for the Super Nintendo. So back to volume 56. So here's what they said then. The Battletoads are back, and they've brought some bad guy kicking help in the form of the Brothers Lee from Double Dragon. Make your selection of men or toads, then launch into action against Psycho Pigs, a Bobo, and a wild cast of evildoers. Power takes a comic look at Battletoads and Double Dragon in this issue. Now, what they said on the plus side and minus side. Fun theme and graphics. Play control is awkward at times. If you've already played the excellent NES version, you won't find many changes in this game. What I say now is that the play control is never awkward at all. The play control is always good. I mean, I've played that game lots of times, and I always found the play control to be good. One thing that should have been said on the plus side, though, was how awesome the music is, because the music, it's awesome. But that's all I gotta say about Battletoads Double Dragon. Now on to the next game, Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. So here's Nintendo Power, Volume 57. And here's what they said then about Zool. If you're into cartoony space ninja action with plenty of candy canes thrown in, you'll drool over Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. Zool jumps and zaps his way through 7 levels of unremitting platform action. Good graphics in a comic style. Good play control. Too cute to be cool. Very derivative. Backgrounds look like they came from Super Mario World. So here's what I say now about Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. While the graphics and play control are good, especially in my opinion, I wouldn't say that the game is too cute to be cool. I actually find the game to be more cool than cute. And the backgrounds, they don't even look at all like they came from Super Mario World. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about Zool. I mean, one more thing I'd like to say about Zool is that, in my opinion, it is a great game. And it brings back great memories. But anyway, on to the next game. The Simpsons, Bart and the Beanstalk for the Game Boy. So, back to volume 57 of Nintendo Power. Here's what they said then about the game. Bart sells a cow for some magic beans, thus recreating the fairy tale of Jack and the Beanstalk. This game takes Bart up the stalk to the giant's castle in 6 action levels. Before selling your family's cow, check out our Power Review. Graphically cool characters and enemies. Fun concept. Play control poor. Slow with drift. Hard to control Bart. The length of time it takes to defeat bosses can make it tedious. Here's what I say now about Bart and the Beanstalk. The play control isn't really too bad. The only thing that's poor about the play control is Bart's slingshot. It takes like a second or so for him to just shoot the slingshot, which makes killing enemies pretty frustrating, in my opinion. And I don't see anything slow or drifty about the game. And controlling Bart isn't even hard. Anyway, that's what I gotta say about Bart and the Beanstalk. So, let's look at another game. The Ren Stimpy Show, Vidiots, for the Game Boy. So, let's look at Nintendo Power, Volume 55. And let's see what they said then about the game. Ren and Stimpy are back on the Game Boy circuit with Vidiots, which looks remarkably like the Super NES game of the same name. Expect some humor along the way as you run, jump, and throw items at your enemies while the clock counts down. Good graphics, poor play control and challenge. What I say now about Ren and Stimpy Vidiots for Game Boy is that the play control isn't really that poor, although it would have been nice for the game to have had the slapping and licking from the Super Nintendo version. And I don't think the challenge is poor either. I find the game to be having a pretty good challenge. But that's pretty much all I gotta say about Ren and Stimpy Vidiots for Game Boy. Now it's time to talk about one more game. Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Alrighty, let's look at Nintendo Power Volume 54. And now let's read the article, shall we? The vile Sinistros must be defeated, and you're just the hero to do the job in Taito's first Super NES RPG. Magic, items, building levels, earning money, and running away from trouble are all a part of this adventure, which Taito hopes will introduce players to the RPG genre in a painless way. And now, the plus side and minus side of what they said. Easy to play with nice graphics and battery-saved memory. RPG fans won't find very much challenge here. The story, graphics, and game design offer nothing new. So here's what I say about Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. The game actually has plenty of challenge to it. I mean, I've played that game lots of times, and it's pretty challenging, especially the final boss. I mean, even with all my characters at the maximum level, it took me such a while to beat the final boss. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have anything you'd like to say about the games I mentioned, leave a comment below in the comment section. Give it a like if you actually enjoyed this. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And don't forget to hit the notification bell as well. And remember, when playing video games, always play with power.